is their convening power. And in certain senses, I think publishers have to become more like the university, more like the nonprofit, more like the conference organizer, to gather people of interest around a particular topic and enable them to have conversations that can be multi-generational. In other words, hinting at some of the logics why hierarchies exist, right? There's going to be people who are more experienced in given areas, more specialized in given areas. We can't just sort of throw that all away because of we want to democratize publishing or education. But it's the kind of intelligent. I was on a panel a few days ago at a really cool little program, actually at the New School University, called the Riggio Program in Literature and Democracy. It's a creative writing program sponsored by Len and Steve Riggio of Barnes & Noble fame. And I thought, literature and democracy. And I just sort of thought, I started realizing, okay, so if we call readers, if we're going to glibly analogize here, as I'm prone to do, as you may have noticed, well, reader and voter. The question was asked of an agent, well, what do I tell aspiring writers? And he said, read more. Don't just produce, learn. And it's like, and I sort of thought, well, if you don't vote, you can't complain about who gets elected. If you don't read, you can't complain about who gets published. And if you don't participate, you can't complain about, I don't know, how shitty the teachers are. That driving participation, and then to sort of go back to what to sort of like combine the point that you were making with this sort of need for structure, is that what you're doing is sort of grabbing onto the various networks that exist out there. And once upon a time there was one network, it was the tribe, and we talked. And now you can be a member of multiple tribes at once, so you have to deal with lots of layers, and sometimes the layers don't fit nicely on top of one another, but they go sideways, like Twitter feeds going into Facebook things. So you're dealing with lots of these networks of information, and then what I think the humans bring to it all is this sort of judgment and discretion and the convening, to use that term again, power of groups, and the little interventions of game mechanics by their executive directors to foster exchange. And I suspect, I mean, there is certainly, like I said, these things can be used for good and ill. They can be used to disseminate hate just as much as to disseminate love. We don't blame the technology. We take the technology and we use it for good.
One last question. What book would you recommend that we read this summer?
Oh.
You better pick something from Red Lemonade.
But then I have to choose between my 3 babies. I just published
Sophie,
3 books.
which of your books?
Yeah, I know.
No,
probably the one I would suggest would be a writer I have published before, too, a woman by the name of Lynn Tillman, Lynnne Tillman. She has a story collection called Someday This Will Be Funny. It's a story collection that doesn't have a story in it entitled Someday This Will Be Funny, which is her own little joke. Like most story collections have a title story, she doesn't. She's really a master writer. She's often been tarnished with the faint praise of being experimental. But she's much less experimental than she's given credit for. She's also, amusingly enough, on Oprah Magazine's summer reading list. Which, you know, for a writer as quote unquote as experimental as her is a little unusual. So there's a lot, you know, you won't love every story, but different ones of you will love different stories and can argue about them with your friends. And that's, I think, what books are great at letting us do, is argue about them with our friends.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Yeah.
Good. Richard will be sticking around for the podcast with...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I'll be around until mid-afternoon, and grab me, email me. There's a reason I put my email address up there, and it was to be emailed by you guys if you feel like it. Honestly, this is a conversation. Oh, fantastic.
So you can kill the mic.
Oh, yeah, right.
Unless you want to go to the bathroom and do
Thank you so much. My name is David Dickens. I'm hoping
That button, and there you go.
Check 1, 2.
Good boy.
Personally, yes. I don't do our web.
Check.
There you go. They're both on there. Okay, we don't.